We're coming to a Capital One cafe near you.
We're hosting workshops to teach you how to monetize on social media and answer any questions you have. If you're in Boston, we'll be at the Seaport Capital One Cafe today from 6 to 8 p.m. And if you're in Philly, we'll be at the Rittenhouse Capital One Cafe from 6 to 8 p.m. on the 22nd.
And then we're coming to Washington, D.C. and New York City to do live recordings of twocents. So we'll be recording an episode and having live audience participation. Our D.C. event is on June 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. and our New York City event is on June 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. If you want to sign up for any of those events, the link is in the description below.
We really hope to see you guys there.
Now let's get to the episode.
Welcome
back
to
the Two Cents Podcast. I'm Hannah Williams.
And I'm James Daniels.
And we have an exciting episode for you today where we're going to break down the top jobs that are at risk and safest from being replaced by AI.
Sounds pretty interesting. I'm definitely going to be paying attention.
For sure. But James, what have we been up to in the last week?
So we're back in DC.
We're back.
Yeah. So right now we're at the Anacostia Capital One Cafe. Thank you guys for letting us record here.
What are we sipping on today?
You know me, I'm pretty basic, so I got my caramel latte.
And I've got a Paloma Spritz, which is honestly so refreshing. I've already made quite a dent in this. And I would also like to remind our audience that if you would like to try a free handcrafted beverage at any Capital One cafe, you can get a free drink on us using the link in the description below.
But other than that, we will be at other Capital One cafes in the near future. But this week, Hannah, you gave a commencement speech.
I did. I gave the keynote speech at my alma mater, Northern Virginia Community College's commencement, which is their graduation. What a cool experience. I posted on my personal TikTok the entire speech, so if you want to hear what I said, you can watch it there. But honestly, I think it was one of the best speeches I've ever given. Thank God I had anxiety medication to get me through that. I'm dead serious. I took a beta blocker and it worked. I've been seeing more talk about beta blockers in marketing and advertising recently, so I want to be cautious about talking about it so it doesn't become the next super greens. Right. But I will say that it helped me so much because I do struggle a lot with anxiety and nerves with public speaking. And in my position, speaking to, 10,000?
Yeah, it was roughly about 10,000 people there.
Students and families. And it was live streamed. I literally was so anxious about it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, I know this because I witnessed it. But prior to a lot of big speeches and stuff, you tend to get pretty nervous. And I get to see it. It becomes very visible at moments. And for the most part, you've worked through them.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that watching you give that commencement speech, it was as though a new Hannah stepped on stage, you know?
Really?
I definitely didn't see any nerves coming through.
Right?
So.
My voice wasn't shaking as much. I felt confident when I was up there. I didn't feel like I had to hold on to the sides for dear life.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, oh, she can definitely run for office at some point.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
To be honest, if you see vote for Hannah, vote for Hannah.
You heard it here first. But yeah, we got a comment from a listener on last week's episode talking about AI. So I figured that should be the main topic for this week's episode. Shout out to Jacob. Thank you for listening. You left us a comment that said, "This was a really good episode. Thank you. But could you guys talk about AI taking over people's jobs? Should people be concerned about that?" And I think that this is a really timely moment to talk about AI replacing people at jobs because of recent headlines. If you didn't know, Microsoft just announced today that they are laying off about 3% of their workforce, which equates to about 6,000 workers.
That's a lot.
Specifically to focus on AI. They didn't beat around the bush. They didn't say, some corporate speak for saving money. The headlines literally say that they are focusing on AI investment in the company. Not only that, our beloved owl, Duolingo.
Yeah.
Recently, their CEO also announced that they are laying off all their contractor workforce and replacing them with AI. And understandably, that was met with a good amount of backlash. So we are really seeing these mega companies kind of being loud and proud about the investments they're making in AI and being unashamed of any backlash that could result from the fact that they are laying off real people in exchange for robots.
Yeah, but at the same time, I hear this and I completely understand, both on the company side and on the employee side. It's terrible hearing that people are being laid off. But at the same time, thinking of places like Duolingo, it would make sense that a lot of their roles can be, replaced with AI, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, I don't want to say this because I'm really not pro AI
Yeah, yeah,
replacing
definitely.
workers,
Same.
but a lot of those jobs, the contractor jobs, are things that you just don't want to do yourself.
Right,
And you
right.
hire contractors for various reasons,
Yeah.
but large corporations, I would think, invest a lot more in their full-time employees than the contractors. Like there's a reason that they are contractors. So this is besides the point. We're going to highlight the jobs that are the safest from AI replacement and are at most risk of being replaced by AI. But I just wanted to highlight that because we're seeing it in the news in real time.
Yeah, and I meant back to some of our previous episodes, we kind of knew that this was coming too.
Mhm.
This is why we talked about AI previously and said if you can try to incorporate AI so that it doesn't replace you.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to cover, some different jobs and the reasons that they're going to be replaced and ways that, you can fight for your life
Yeah.
if you're in one of those roles and what you can do to get a couple steps ahead. So to kick off, there is a really great report that came out recently from the Society of Human Resource Management, aka SHRM, and they recently did an analysis, a research on which jobs are at most risk. But when I read the report, it was a little disappointing because they didn't specifically call out which jobs. They just called out which industries are most at risk. And you can basically make a general assumption of what those jobs are. But I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, yeah.
So, some key findings from the report, I think these were really good high level statistics to include. They found that 12.6% of current U.S. employment, which is about 19.2 million jobs, face high or very high automation displacement risk. So they are at risk of being replaced by AI or any kind of robotics. The other key finding that I wanted to highlight is they found that blue collar, service, and white collar administrative support occupations are comparatively likely to face very high automation displacement risk. I was surprised by the blue collar
No,
too.
well, the automation portion makes a lot of sense too.
Right. And
Yeah.
so that was actually the key part that I wanted to point out because when I saw blue collar, I was like, what? Like
Yeah,
blue
yeah.
collar is
Not gonna lie.
not, yeah, but it's a type of blue collar. Like we're
Yeah,
talking about factory jobs, which is why,
exactly.
this whole conversation about bringing manufacturing jobs back
That's
to
actually
America
that's actually what I was gonna
or the same.
bring up because I was thinking like a lot of this is driven politically. Like I don't,
Hmm.
don't want to bring it down that hole, but it is because if you're bringing jobs back, then those jobs become more expensive for the manufacturers.
Yep. And so what do they do when the jobs become more expensive?
Automate
They
and
automate it.
yeah, so it only makes sense that now AI is going to be taking over a lot of more jobs, and AI and automation. I kind of want to lump them into one group because I
Right.
mean they're both doing the same thing almost. Replacing a human being with some type of computer or computer software.
Right, exactly. So, some of the jobs, specific job roles, I did a quick Google search and found a nice list for you to highlight. Since we know now industries that are at risk, let's talk about the jobs in particular. So, more specifically, they talked about roles. So, if your job encompasses one of these roles or is entirely that role, it might be important to start thinking about ways that you can diversify your skill set and also utilize AI and the tools that are out there right now to make your job easier because there's got to be a way that you can use it to your advantage. You can show that you know how to use these tools to make your job easier, but also that you are utilizing the tools to make that happen and that you are the expert that they need to continue to pay in order to continue doing the job.
Well, and also with that, make sure that you actually have your roles defined because
Right.
I've heard a lot of people talking about that they picked up a new role or picked up a new position and the roles weren't clearly defined. And in that instance, that's one of those ways that they can, uh, I guess, use that against you.
Right, exactly. You need to find a way to make AI work for you instead
Yeah.
of work against you. And unfortunately, you may have to work with it in order to do that. Number one is customer service. AI powered chatbots and virtual assistants are increasingly handling routine customer service inquiries. We knew that this was
Yeah, we knew
happening.
that.
The other is data entry slash processing. It's anything that's a repetitive data entry or processing task. Then we've got retail slash cashiers, but I'm not really sure about the retail slash cashiers one because we've seen the the push to self-automated, like check out
Yeah.
yourself. And there's still a need for real people. There's a need for people to help us when the robots don't work and when they're like, place your item
Well, then,
here, and you did.
and then also like some people just don't get it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can tell them 30 times they're self checkout, but like they want that human
Yeah, and
interaction.
I don't blame them. Like sometimes you need to ask about something and you need to talk to
Yeah.
someone, or especially when you're buying alcohol and you need to get like the ID verified, it would
Yeah.
just be easier to go straight to the cashier because you got to go do that anyway. I think if it advanced a lot further, then yeah, maybe, but I think there will always be a need for some human
Yeah, definitely
interaction.
some human interaction there. We've seen it at like Uniqlo where they
Hmm.
have the
Oh
automated
yeah,
checkout. Yeah.
yeah. And they still had to come over and help
Yeah,
us.
right. There's
Yeah.
still 3 cashiers there who are still doing things like stocking and, helping out customers and doing returns.
Hmm. The other ones are telemarketing. So, chatbots and these virtual assistants, they can handle these
Yeah.
telemarketing calls. They can, they sound just like you. Now the AI chatbots can literally sound like a human. So that's really terrifying.
But for some reason, they still don't know how to get you in contact with an operator.
Right. Exactly. The other one is manufacturing/assembly line. So exactly what we were talking
Yeah.
about. Those are those blue collar workers that are definitely at risk is anything that's on an assembly line like manufacturing.
Oh, well, definitely, especially because Nike's paying kids $2, to make a pair of
Right.
shoes. They're not going to want to pay 300 times that, for a person
But they
that they
should.
care about.
But they should. And I've been talking about this whole concept of ethical capitalism for a while now,
Yeah.
but I really wish that that became a thing. And I know that it's sort of like a, what's the word? It can't possibly be like capitalism cannot be ethical in and
Right.
of itself, but it would be really nice to see some of these large companies choosing to pay more because they can afford it, let's be honest, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, but that doesn't keep their shareholders rich,
Right, or
unfortunately.
themselves. The other one that honestly had me a little bit surprised but makes a lot of sense is transportation because of the rise of autonomous vehicles.
That one I'm still a little iffy about. I mean, if we had like trolleys and stuff, then that would make a lot more sense because
Right.
automation could work a lot easier with that.
Hmm.
I'm still a little iffy about self-driving cars.
Yeah, I would like it to be a different brand than the one that starts with a T. He who shall not be named. The other one,
Voldemort. No.
right? The other one is legal, but that's not all legal jobs. Obviously, like you don't want an AI robot being your lawyer and advocating for your release, but this applies more to like those administrative tasks. And I would say probably a lot of the role of a legal assistant,
Yeah.
anything that's more administrative and within the office, like emails, coordination, reading, summarizing, writing, anything like that.
That makes a lot of sense.
And this one's going to be a little bit controversial, but content creators. Are we worried about content creators being replaced by AI? Should we be worried?
Should we be worried? I think that everybody should have some healthy level of worry. Do I think that we should actively worry? No. And the only reason why I say that is because right now social media is in this real push of like seeing people and following people.
Yeah, people
And
follow people, not brands.
right. And that's the thing is you create a AI avatar, somebody's going to know that it's an AI avatar at some point in
I
time.
don't know. It's getting better and better.
It is. But at the same time, they have to fully flood the market to knock all of us out.
Right.
And at the same time, I watch videos of people who I don't follow, and then I have people that I do follow. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy all of the content.
Yeah. And I'm going to pose this question to our listeners and our audience right now. I'll do a poll if you're listening on Spotify, but let us know in the comments what you think if you're listening on any other platform like YouTube. But would you watch a content creator's content if you knew that they were AI? Would you still want to hear what they have to say? Would you still want to watch their content? What kind of content would make you watch them and what wouldn't? I'll give you my 2 cents. I would not willingly follow any content creator in the niches of lifestyle, finance, education, anything that I currently consume now, or politics. I would not follow a not real person because I really value the personal takes there. I value the opinions, I value the humanity of people. And I think what's important about that is people nowadays say that they want to know what creators' political beliefs are. They want to know that you align.
Yeah.
How can you align with someone who's not real? I mean, I'm sure there's a way that you can, but that authenticity is missing. And so for me, I wouldn't knowingly follow one, but I could see a really slippery slope where people start using AI bots instead of their own faces. And so it's kind of like towing the line.
Yeah, that's what I imagine a lot of it's going to become. But I would be interested in watching, like from start to finish, an AI, full AI, create videos.
Right.
Just full creativity. I just want to see what.
If
I don't.
they
I don't know
have
how to put.
creativity,
Yeah,
though, that means they have like free will, you
right.
know?
But I don't.
I don't
Well,
know if
that's the
that's
thing
even
is I don't.
possible.
Yeah, I don't think that they have like full creativity. You have to write the line of code that says
You have
create
to write the
whatever.
script, you have to
Yeah,
write the emotion, you
based on
have to
whatever.
write
But like.
how they inflect on
Yeah,
words.
but I just want to see like if we had the capabilities, just fully autonomous AI bot create for the hell of creation, just art. That's all I want to see.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of already does. It
Yeah.
creates art,
Yeah, but it's
but it
usually
creates art that you
yeah,
ask it to
it's
create.
prompted art. Like I
Yeah.
want to see what an AI robot comes up with on its own without any prompts.
I think we're in dangerous territory if it can do that because
Yeah.
that means it can think on its own
I
and
know.
we've got bigger
Hey,
problems.
I'm trying to make iRobot real. No, I'm
I'm
joking.
not.
I'm joking.
But yeah, definitely, an important conversation to have. I think I don't like talking about AI replacing us, but you need to be aware of it
Yeah.
because it's a very real possibility. I could even see in the future the need for our governments to have specific divisions for resources for workers that have been displaced by AI, resources that they can
Yeah.
turn to. I could see that becoming a real problem. And so I don't know. I just would implore these companies to recognize the value of human people and human work.
Well, also, I see a lot of opportunity there with AI. If we look at this now AI push, like how we did the tech push, there's going to be people that need to train the AI. Like, there's going to be people that they need to do all of these things that involve AI. Instead of us going, hey, let me take these boot camps, so that I can get a degree to do IT, there's going to be boot camps for you to learn how to create or edit AI, so
Right.
like these things will start developing. I think it's just if you're interested in getting in that, then do it now because this is going to be the best time to do it.
Here's an interesting question. You took typing classes in school,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah,
did.
like keyboard stuff.
Yeah.
So did I. I had to, how many words can
Yep.
you type
Words
a
per
word?
minute.
A minute? Imagine I could see this happening that kids in school
Yeah, they're
learn
just going to.
how to use AI,
Yeah. It,
how
it,
to
it,
speak to them.
It should because like now it's going to be incorporated. I don't want to fight AI like how people tried to fight, the
The
invention.
.com
Yeah, the
boom.
.com era,
Yeah.
like it makes no sense. At this point, we kind of understand that these things happen and we have to work with them because that's the best way to get yourself involved.
But the goal is not replacement,
Yeah,
it's
it's not
enhancement.
right, and that's the difference. But then again, people saw the internet as a way to replace, or that it was going to replace libraries and stuff.
Right.
But that wasn't the case.
That's a
So
good anecdote.
AI should be the same way.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Let's hope. So, transitioning to the jobs that are safest from being replaced by AI and automation, I found a list that actually has the top 65 safest jobs, but we're not going to go through all of
That's a
those.
lot.
I'm going to link them in the description below, but we'll go through the top 10. So, number 10 on the list has a median annual wage of $85,570 and a 13.9% projected growth by 2031. Can you guess what it is?
I would say like a nurse or something, right?
Pretty good. An occupational therapist. Number 9 on the list is in the same industry, healthcare, orthotists and prosthetists. That's a lot of S's. Sorry to everyone listening. My list
That
came
makes
out
sense,
clear.
To an extent, that makes sense. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
prosthetics more so for automation. I'm thinking, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Number 8 on the list is physical therapists, followed by this one kind of surprised me because I wanted to do this, and people would always tell me to go into physical therapy instead. But ahead of physical therapist at number 7 is an athletic trainer. That was my dream job when I first graduated high school. And I changed my mind
Look
a
at you
lot of times.
today.
I know, changed my mind along the way. Number 6 is coaches and scouts.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes
You
a
don't
lot
want
of
to be, you can't be coached by an AI football coach.
All right.
Number 5 is a nursing instructor and teacher post-secondary. So very, very high level.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, not high level. High level in terms of your ranking, but not high level information. We're talking real life experience here.
Yeah. What I'm starting to see the trend is more like all these hands-on jobs.
Following up with number 4, a mental health counselor. That one kind of surprises me.
I don't think if I was seeking any type of mental health therapy, I would want to go to an AI bot. So
A lot of people already are, though. I read
wow,
an
I did not
article
know
the
that.
other day about how people are using AI and they're using it for legal. Like they're using it to defend themselves in court and
I heard
draft
about
up
a case
emails.
like that.
Yes, and they're also using it for like their mental health, like any type of way that they can get a pep talk or work through their issues. People are literally dating their AI bots.
I feel
I
like
wouldn't
listening
rely
to
on that
this,
information
yeah,
though.
listening to this, I feel like I'm not as in the loop as I thought.
I got you. That's why we do this.
All right.
All right. So, number 3 is a physician assistant, a PA. Very, very intricate work.
Yeah.
You cannot get a robot to do that. Number 2 is so surprising. Can you guess? It's not healthcare, it's not blue collar. I guarantee you would never guess it.
Can you give me an industry?
Entertainment,
Is it a singer?
a choreographer.
That's good. Yeah.
Choreographer.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, it has one of the lowest median annual wages at $42,700.
Wow.
Yeah, so
They're
doesn't
secure though with that 42.
you're not gonna get a dancing robot anytime soon. Like we have big problems if
Yeah.
you've got like a whole backup crew of robots. Left shark. Let's go to number 1. It's in healthcare. We've interviewed a couple of them. Can you guess what it is? 2 words.
Travel nurse.
No. But you're almost there. You've got one of the words.
A pediatrics nurse?
A nurse practitioner.
Oh.
An NP. A nurse practitioner has a median annual wage of $120,680 and a projected growth of 45.7% by 2031. Talk about job security.
Yeah. Because people are going to always get sick. So
Definitely. And nurse practitioners are basically like super boosted nurses. They're basically doctors. I mean, some of them are.
they're pretty much doctors.
Yeah,
They
I don't
are doctors.
want to insult any of the nurse practitioners
Well, we got
listening, so
doctors.
I highly respect you. I just want to say.
Well, we got doctors listening and they're going, they're not doctors.
Right. There's so much drama in the
Right.
medical industry.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that is the list of the safest jobs. I'll be sure to link in the description below the SHRM report and this list so that you can explore it more in detail. I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything, but I do think it's important for us to talk about these things and be aware of what changes might be on the horizon. Because if you are in one of these industries, maybe you need to identify skills that you can work on or a career pivot. And it's way easier to do that ahead of time than when you're really like at the last resort.
Like she said, make sure that you do your research, though. That's the biggest thing. I mean, if you can incorporate it into your job field, you definitely should. And if you can't, then you may be safe.
But yeah, that's it for us. If you are in Boston, Philly, DC, or New York City, we hope to see you at one of our live events. It's completely free. We're going to have free swag. You can do an interview with us if you want. If you don't want to do an interview and you just want to meet us or get a picture or just come and socialize with the community, that's what it's there for. So we really hope that we see you there. And yeah, let us know what you think of this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.